Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's July 12th, and right now we're looking at the Doppler radar, the Langley radar here on the Washington coast. You can see the system out here spinning. You can see it nicely here on the Doppler radar display, and this is coming towards the coastline here, but it's weakening a bit as it gets here, and it might bring a little bit of light rain to some of the coastal areas. Some of the models are showing a little bit of a shower development here off the northeast portion of the Olympic Mountains over the higher terrain. Maybe a thunderstorm there, maybe something across the North Cascades, northeast Washington, and you might feel a sprinkle here across the region here up into southwest BC, but nothing major with this system coming through here. Sorry to say, these systems are pretty weak here as we go through the summer months, but anyway, let's take a look at that in the middle of a water vapor loop. Actually looks kind of nice here, but a very small system, as you can see, kind of moving through the area. Then we're going to build a ridge behind the system as it moves through, and we're going to warm up this weekend here, and then we've got some big discrepancies showing up through the extended forecast, the GFS and the European, and some disagreement on just how warm we're going to remain here through the extended forecast. We'll take a look at those details here in a moment. This is looking at the visible satellite imagery, and you can clearly see the amount of smoke across some of central BC. You can see these active forest fires. You've got fires across some of the mountainous areas, across northern portions of BC, up into the Yukon, Northwest Territories. The smoke is just flowing out there, folks, and a lot of it here across the region. Hopefully not a sign of things to come as we go through the summer months here, but not a good halfway point that we are dealing with now, although we do not have a lot of fires right now across Washington, Oregon, or California, so that's good for now, but we'll continue to watch that as we go. You can see the marine layer pushed inland. We got some onshore flow here across the area as well, and you can kind of see the weak system there spinning off the coastline of the visible satellite imagery. Very low chance of a lightning strike with this system here across western portions, better chances across the higher terrain of the North Cascades, northeast Washington, and British Columbia over the next several hours here as we go on through the afternoon and evening hours. This is looking at Paradise. You can kind of see some of these clouds up there. Not a bad day to be out across the mountains there. Not much of a chance of a thunderstorm today. Couldn't 100% rule it out, but just kind of have your eyes on the sky. If you see those dark clouds flowing around there, just kind of be wary of that potential. This is Spokane National Weather Service. Check it out. Saturday, Sunday. Look, it's 103, 101 on Saturday. And staying pretty warm here as you go through a Monday here. So the warm up is coming here before we start to deal with some uncertainty in our forecast, which we'll look at here in a minute. As I said prior, this is Seattle. Look at yesterday, 77 exactly the average high. Nice typical summer day here. No precipitation, none expected here for the extended forecast, but we will take a look at that. There's always a chance out there when you look far enough off into the future. So we'll look at that here in a moment. This is Spokane. You can see that thunderstorm that went through a couple days ago did bring 12 hundredths of an inch of rain here for Spokane. It dropped that temperature on that day back down a little bit below normal, but we are definitely going to warm up here as we go through the weekend, possibly pushing some record highs here. You can see the record highs are 102, 104. You could get it towards those values here as we go through the weekend. This is looking at the NAM3 cam. Check it out. It's really not showing this system well. Doppler radar, definitely more precipitation than what's being shown here. You can kind of see that move up across the area. You can see maybe a shower across the Olympics, some of the Cascades, but mainly across the northern Cascades into BC for the thunderstorm potential as we go through today. And then as we go through tomorrow afternoon, definite decrease in the shower activity as that system kicks out. And then we start to build the ridge as we go on in towards the end of the week and the weekend. Now this is looking at the high resolution model. And you can see it does pick it up a little bit better, but still probably not as much as the Doppler radar is showing here. You can see a couple showers kicking off maybe across the Olympics here, and again the North Cascades up into British Columbia here before that system kicks out and we start to build the ridge here for the weekend for some pretty warm weather here across much of the region. Now looking at the HERT, the 3K, I'm just going over the lightning potential here. Yes, you can't rule out a strike along the coastline, but not big chances of it. It did show a little bit. It's still showing it there across some of the higher terrain of the Olympic Mountains, just kind of south of Port Angeles, Squim on the higher terrain, but better chance again across North Cascades. So heads up if you're off in the backcountry there across BC and the North Cascades of Washington, northeast Washington. This is looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. You can kind of see that little bit of a lobe of cold air there as it kind of moves through. A very subtle feature here at this time of year. These systems are quite weak in the summertime for the Pacific Northwest. Then you can see we start to warm up along the west coast here, and the ridge starts to build as we go through the end of the week coming up. Now, taking a look at the GFS versus the European, this is where things get a little bit interesting here. This is yesterday afternoon's European versus the GFS. This goes out 10 days. So here goes the system going through. You can see decent model agreement with that. And then this trough starts to dig out across the Gulf of Alaska. Okay, not too bad. We've got pretty good confidence in the warm-up coming as we go through the end of this week into the weekend. But then we start to diverge as we go a little bit further off into the future here. You can see the European not as strong and deep with the trough as the GFS is. And you're trying to take a bite out of this ridge here from getting up into the Pacific Northwest. European is weaker and builds this ridge in behind it much more quickly. As you can see, the ridge extending all the way up into Alaska here. And this would definitely warm us up more versus the GFS. There are some similarities, though. You can kind of see the high pressure up across some of the Northwest Territories and the Yukon here on both models, and the trough out over the Gulf of Alaska. But the difference in the location of that trough is going to mean everything. As you can see, this European run would be much warmer versus the GFS, with this trough going to be a bit closer here. And you can see it kind of hangs out much closer to the coastline versus what the European is showing. This is something to watch here for the next few days. And now we'll take a look at the European as of last night, because it came in with this trough a little bit stronger. Watch as we go. There's the ridge for the warm weekend coming up, but then this trough is a little bit deeper here versus yesterday afternoon's run also. But then you can kind of see the hint of that ridging building in quickly on the backside of that trough here. So we've got some pretty interesting discrepancies coming up here through the extended forecast. Something definitely to watch, and we'll be taking a closer look at that tomorrow as well. This is looking at the European. Check it out as we go through Saturday, Sunday. Very warm temperatures. Then that trough arrives here, maybe even a day or two below average coming up here. Not much precipitation expected with this trough, but we'll watch that and see maybe if we can squeeze a shower out of it or something of that nature. And then the European, as you can see, returning things to above average temperatures here as we go through the later portions of July. This is looking at precipitation for Seattle. It did show a few of these ensemble members showing a little bit of precip here as we go through the day today, but most of them you can see are quite dry, and only a tenth there in the mean all the way through the end of July here. The control run with nothing as we go, maybe just trace amounts at some point. This is looking at Pasco. Check it out. Warm temperatures incoming this weekend. There it is, 103, 106. And the cool down with that trough, and then the bounce back here on the European. We'll take a look at what the GFS has to say for some of these stations in a moment. This is looking at for Portland here. Again, the very warm weekend. Then the trough arrives and some above average after that. This is looking at Seattle. Check out the GFS. So agrees with the warm temperatures here as we go through the weekend. Even has 91 for Seattle on Sunday. Then the trough cools things down, and then we bounce back briefly, and you can see the trough and kind of some maybe average or some below average temperatures at times here as we go through the extended, with a difference in that trough location off our coastline. This is looking at a 2 meter daily max temperature here today, right around average for Seattle and Portland there, and warmer of course as you go east of the mountains. Some of the values of BC warming up nicely. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, quite warm for Western Washington, Western Oregon, mid-upper 90s, not out of the question. Some hundreds in Eastern Washington on Saturday and Sunday. Look at some of these temperatures. Very warm east of the Cascades here showing up. Another very warm day Sunday. Monday, we get a bit of an onshore flow returning there. Some marine push here into Western Washington, dropping those temperatures back down. The National Blended Models has it holding there for a day or two. And then we start to bounce back a little bit as we go towards the end of next week. But we'll watch that great uncertainty in the forecast as we look on in towards the future. This is looking at 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, and look at, they actually have a little below average signal here for Seattle. Average height for this time of year about July 21st is about 78 degrees, and you can see some average temps and warmer the farther you go off to the southeast here. This is 6 to 10 day precipitation probability outlook here. They included this again here, and so maybe that trough will bring a little bit of precipitation. Fingers crossed here for some of the portions of Western Washington up through BC. We'll see how that works out. 8 to 14 day, again below average signal here across much of the interior areas through Eastern Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. So yeah, there it is. This little system on our doorstep here. You might get a couple sprinkles out here, maybe a shower or a thunderstorm across some of the Olympic Mountains here today. But again, most of that threat is going to be across BC and North Cascades, Northeast Washington as we go. Maybe you'll get a little shower along the coastline as well. And maybe a surprise lightning strike somewhere west of the Cascades with this system as well. But then we're going to build that ridge in here. But pretty interested in looking at seeing what comes in the future. Some pretty interesting disagreements here. The GFS likes that troughing a lot closer than the European does. Of course, the European performs a little bit better here, so a little bit more confidence goes towards that model right now. But, I'll watch it again tomorrow. We'll take a look at it. We'll try to discern what's coming up in our future. And otherwise, yeah, click like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.